This is the 68th Tour of Italy, and it begins exactly where the 67th ended last year, in Verona. And it begins the same way that one ended, with an individual time trial. The length is 7 kilometres, and it acts as a prologue to the race. The first stage actually begins tomorrow, when the riders will set off towards Busto Arsizio. But to start the time trial, the three top favourites ride off and set the best time they can over 7 kilometres.
Then here is the idol of the Italian Tour of Italy, the Italian cycle race, Giuseppe Saronni, now the captain of the Del Tongo team. It's about to start. In fact, it's the third last contender to take part in this individual time trial. He's a fairly strong rider. We've seen him last years, we've seen him the years before. He's a man that will never stop. He has some problem with fatigue and technical problems with his own team last year, and that's why he didn't do so well. But I think he's quite determined this year to do very well.
That's the new bike of Vicentini, which unfortunately the judges wouldn't pass. It's a prototype bike, not yet considered official, described by the commentators as looking like bulging like a pregnant woman. Vicentini has to swap it for not a completely conventional bike. He still chooses one with solid wheels, but not the strange bulging one.
Unfortunately, he gave not a chance to the authority of the tour to even assess this particular bike, because that's the very first time that they ever saw it. Starting off like that with a bike was supposed to be so revolutionary, made by the very famous champion Argentine. It's a bike made of carbon alloy. It's a very fast bike.
There's Francesco Moser, who won the race last year and is the hot favourite this year. He's wearing the pink jersey as an honour for having won the Tour last year. The leader of each particular stage gets to wear that pink jersey.
Yes, he's Giuseppe once again coming towards the finishing parts of this particular race. I think his time is going to surprise a lot of people, because he's been very good already. We've seen him towards the end of the tour last year picking up, and of course he's done very well previous to this race with other little meetings around Italy. Is Roberto Vicentini, the man that is going to try to challenge the lead from Francesco Moser. He almost did it last year, and I think he's going to try his damnedest this year to win this particular race.
These three riders are, of course, leaders of teams. This is a team race as well as an individual race, although we're looking at an individual time trial. And all those three riders act as the leaders of various teams, sponsored teams of about 10 riders.
I'm sure that the public, the spectators that are streaming along the road here, would like very much to see Francesco Moser doing it again. If you remember last year, the Tour of Italy finished in exactly the same circuit, with exactly the same race. In fact, there was an individual time trial where Francesco Moser took the lead and won the Tour of Italy. He's last off the mark, and I think he's got some very good chance of beating everybody else. The best time so far is Bontempi.
And we can see Saronni looks like he's got a good chance of coming in under the 7:57 mark. He's at 7:53 now.
Saronni beat his own teammate, Bontempi, with a very good time. Vicentini is right after him, and is Francesco Moser, number one. And there's Vicentini going through.
And his time, yes, a whole second less than Saroni's.
Somehow this is something that is supposed to be expected. Vicentini is not going to give the Tour away very easily. He's going to try very hard, especially with the very first race. You saw that monstrous looking bike. He really
wanted to win really badly.
And there's Moser with her.
So, much as predicted by the pundits, the leading rider got the best time and heads and therefore retains the pink jersey.
And that's very good. That's a nice thing to see. The same amphitheatre, the same man that last year closed the Tour of Italy.
Now we're out on the road, heading towards Busto Arsizio. And it's time to talk about international competition. Of course, we were looking at three Italian riders then as the top individual riders. So what is the overseas competition like this year?
Well, there's a very famous name in the Tour of Italy this year. There's going to be a man named Bernard Hinault from the French team.
He's ranked 6th there after that time trial.
Yes.
You can see 15 seconds behind the leader.
He's a strong rider, as we know. He's won the Tour of Italy 2 years ago.
And won the Tour of France, of course. He's famous for having won that more times than anyone else.
Yes, he's a very strong competitor to anybody, to any rider who takes part in this particular tour.
What's happened to Laurent Fignon? Is injury or what's dropped him out? We don't know. Well, he'll be missed because he's been a strong challenge, and riding with Hinault, he made the French presence really felt. And perhaps he's just saving it all up for the Tour of France later.
Another important thing that's happened this year, another foreign team has taken part in the Tour of Italy. It's the Colombian team. The trainer put up a bunch of riders, the best they've got in their country, and believe me, they're very, very good hill climbers. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of them in the next stages of the Tour of Italy. So we have
218 kilometres after Verona.
And there's Rosola coming through. And it was Freuler over Rosola, and El Pink Jersey came 5th, still retaining that.
From that strong lead he set up in the individual time trial.